Hey guys, happy Monday. Happy Mental Health Monday. Now, I'm trying to get back on track and I have so much to share with you guys in terms of mental health awareness and just helping us understand life. Life is so complex and so complicated at times. And as a person who's been in the field of mental health, behavioral health, and addictions counseling for over a decade, I have learned so much, experienced so much, and then obviously in my own personal life experienced so much. So I just want to pour back and important to you guys and share the information that I've learned over the years. So I've realized that in the past 3 years, less than 3 years actually, I have lost 3 family members. Literally every year since 2017, I have a new family member that has passed away. And in 2014, I experienced my first loss in terms of my immediate family, and that was my aunt. She passed away from stage 4 liver cancer, and I realized that during that time I was working on my master's and finishing up, and I didn't really grieve. I just kind of got busy with work and just kept moving forward. And as I continued on, I realized that it was coming out in other ways, and I didn't actually understand and acknowledge it. But I know that grief and loss was one of those areas of mental health and counseling that I will always run away from. I never wanted to deal with that. I never, if you ask me, oh, you can get a job at hospice or something, I'd be like, oh no, not for me. I'm good. And it was like God was like, no, you're gonna deal with this. You're gonna confront this head on. And I realized over the last couple of years now, 3 years, that I've literally had to deal with it head on and understand and really dive into what grief and loss means. So, with that being said, today is actually, we did the viewing of my beloved, beloved uncle. I was going to say belated. I don't know what I'm thinking. He passed away, I guess, a week ago with some crazy circumstances that has shocked the entire family because he wasn't sick in a way that it's like you could kind of expect it to happen. It was very unexpected, so it has a lot of us numb and shocked. But with that, I wanted to share with you guys the 5 stages of grief, just so you can have an understanding of what that looks like. Now, with anything that comes in stages, it's not necessarily linear, meaning it doesn't just go one after another. You could go from stage 1 to stage 5, or you could go to stage 1 to stage 3 and then to 5, or start at 5 and then go back to 1. So as you listen to these different stages, just keep that in mind and kind of look at your experiences dealing with death and loss, and figure out where are you, or what happened, or what stages were I in, or did I experience, or where am I in now? So keep that in mind as you listen to these different stages. Now, I first learned about the different stages of grief when I was in my master's program studying mental health counseling, and it was very interesting to learn and definitely helped me understand a lot more. Elizabeth Kubler is she developed these different stages with another theorist, I assume, and it has really helped so many people just come to terms and understand the different processes that go on while you're grieving someone. So the first stage is denial. Okay? So think about that. And let me say this too. Grief and loss don't necessarily mean just death. You could be grieving someone, or you can go through this process when you end a long-term relationship. You can go through this process when you end or get laid off from a job that you worked at for 30, 40 years. It doesn't just mean the loss or the death of someone. It could show up in different ways. So keep that in mind. So the first stage is denial. Now, we all have kind of probably experienced denial in some kind of way. It's just the lack of belief that this is real, that the situation is real. So of course, if that's the person that is shocked or numb, it's like, no, this is not real. I know this is not happening. That's denial. Until you see it, or something shows you that it's absolutely real. The second stage is anger. I remember the anger stage because I remember I was in my master's program, and my aunt, she was on her last days, but she was dealing with liver cancer. And one day, I said something to her, and she just, she had just been so quiet and not saying anything to anybody, just very to herself. And I knew that there had to be something there. You can't tell me that you just got this diagnosis 6 months ago and you're okay and you're just chilling. There's something there, there's some kind of emotion there. And mind you, I'm still new in the game, still learning how to be a counselor and all this. So I'm like, oh Lord, I don't know what I'm about to do, but I got to do something. I got to pull this out of her. I got to get it out because I need to know. Maybe it was selfish, I don't know, but I was like, I need to know how you feel. Because I know how I would probably feel if I was in that situation. And honestly, if you read my book, you understand that I have been in a near-death situation. I have been that close to death. So I know, I was like, you have to be angry, sad, or something. You're not showing any kind of emotion. So I said something to her, and she just flipped. She was like, my hair's falling out. I don't look the same no more. And she just cried. And my grandmother, I'll never forget, she was able to go into the room with her and tell her that we love you, we're here for you. And they hugged, and it was such a pivotal moment. And that was the moment I realized how powerful counseling is. The ability to really pull people's emotions and help them process where they are and what they're feeling. I will never ever forget that moment. But she was in the anger stage. That's where she was at. And we would have never known that she was angry. Angry at God, angry at herself, angry at the world, that she would not be able to see her grandchildren grow up. Who knew? And I was the one who pulled it out of her. I was so amazed. But anger. So if you see someone who's lost someone, or the relationship is over, or their job has ended after years of employment and 100% dedication to this company, and they're angry, then you understand that's where they are. So the third stage is bargaining. Now, I know, if you've ever been in a crazy situation and you're like, okay, God, listen, if you just get me out of this, I promise you I will go back to church. I will sit in the front pew. Oh my God, please, just this one time. It's kind of like that. It's that bargaining stage where you're bargaining and you're trying to make a deal with your higher power, whatever that looks like for you. And you're like, God, if you just bring them back, please. Or God, if you just let them give me another chance at this job, I will do better next time. Or if you just got the call and you're like, God, please don't let this be the right person. Please don't let this be my son or my child, whatever, or my husband or my wife. You're bargaining with God. You're bargaining with your higher power. And it could be months later, and you could still be bargaining. Think about it. A person could say, you know what? God, let this all be a dream. Let me wake up today and realize that this whole 6 months has just been a dream, and I just maybe hit my head and I'm in a coma and I'm just dreaming or something. Please, you're bargaining because you're in such denial. You've gone through those different stages, but you're still in that space of denial. Your mind won't even accept it because it's so painful, and you're just bargaining that if something could just switch places or change. Oh, imagine that. The fourth stage is depression. So at this point, it's really sinking in. And like I said, you could go from denial to, you're like, oh my God, this is real, and you go immediately into depression. Depression, I think we all probably understand what depression looks like, but sometimes we don't. So depression is that dark cloud. I like to call it a dark cloud. I give the example of if someone offered you $1 million, or you just learned that you were a millionaire, and you're like, thank you. Okay, yeah. It's like it don't even matter. Okay. And I'm not talking about if you're born into wealth and it's just another million and just add it on to it. Okay, whatever. I'm talking about, let's say if you were living in poverty, extreme poverty, and someone offered you $1 million, or you looked at your account and you had $1 million from something, and it's like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Or if maybe it's not money for you. Maybe it's something that you just really love and someone gave it to you all of a sudden. And it just doesn't matter because you're so depressed, you're so sad. An intense level of sadness and melancholy. depression. You're not getting out of bed. You're not eating, or you're overeating. You've lost interest in your normal activities. You don't want to do the same stuff you used to do. You don't want to hang out with anybody anymore. You're over it. Depression. You realize that this person that you've been with for years, you spent your entire lifetime with, is no longer there, and you will never see them again, not in the same way. Or when you do see them, it's going to be when you die, if that's what your belief system is. And that could be another 30, 40 years from now if you're still young. Depression. The final stage we talk about here is acceptance. And this is the stage that we hope to all get to at some point after a severe, tragic, or sad, whatever the loss is. You hope to finally get to acceptance, where you just accept it for what it is. You acknowledge that we don't have control over certain things in life. We can only control what we can control. And we certainly can't control when it's our time to leave this earth. That is beyond our control. We don't know. And we definitely can't control when it's someone else's time to leave this earth, or how they leave this earth. So when we can accept that this was the will of God, or it was the will of the higher power, whatever your higher power is, or this was just what this person or you, it was just part of the plan, the journey. It was just destiny. However you need to understand it and rationalize it, and that leads to acceptance. You could go from denial to completely accepting something. And people look at you crazy probably, because they're like, wait, you're not angry, you're not sad, you're not depressed? How's that? But people grieve so differently. I know that whenever I found out about my uncle, I was texting a good friend of mine, and I said, forget all of them. I didn't even say, it wasn't forget, it was another word. I was so angry. And I hope this person doesn't judge me for that, because I was just so angry because of how I learned how he died, the fact that he had died, he was dead for 7 days. So my immediate response was anger. I was not in denial, I was just in shock, and I was just angry. Just angry. Angry at the whole family. Like, forget them. Like, I don't even want to, I'm tired. Tired of this. So now I'm in acceptance stage. I accept it for what it is. Like, I understand, but it also lets me know, listen now, y'all dying one year after another now, so you better get yourself, make sure you're right and ready, because one of your family members is dying literally every year for the last 3 years. So you know, so that's acceptance for me. But I hope that was helpful for you guys. I wanted to talk about it because, again, I've been experiencing it year after year now, and I'm like, okay, let me share something on this topic for Mental Health Monday. And I know it's late, but I want to get this out tonight for you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. What has been your experience with grief and loss and death in whatever capacity, whether that's a relationship, a job, a career goal, a person? What has been your experience with the different stages? Did you go from one stage to, like, for the top first stage now to acceptance, or did you shift around, or did it go in order for you? What was it for you? Use this time to kind of talk and process it. Again, if you have any suicidal thoughts or anything like that, make sure you call your local 911. I am not here to do that for you. I can't help you with that, but definitely seek out a counselor in your local area if you want to process that more. I don't want to open up a can of worms for you. I know this can be tough for most people. It's still tough for me, even as a therapist. It's still tough for me. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful for you. And especially if you're looking through YouTube, maybe you've just lost someone or something and you just need a better understanding of what you're feeling. I definitely recommend grief counseling. Hospice is they have a great program where after someone dies, if they've been in hospice care, I think, then they have like the counseling for the family. And you can make a doll or a bear that you can use to keep their memory there as a memory state. Try all of those things. Write, journal, do something in that person's honor. Do what you need to do for you. Take care of yourself. Alright guys, I'll see you next week for Mental Health Monday.